Alright guys, are you ready to talk about your name logo design and the steps to get there? Because I am, and I'm super excited to show you guys this project. Those of you TikTokers out there, I found this on TikTok and I really enjoyed this project. And just the minimalistic design about it and how simple and easy it is. Alright, so here's some examples of this minimalistic name logo design. Also, if your name is any of these, please don't copy it exactly. Try to change it up as best as you can. Alright, so as you guys can see, this minimalistic design involves your name. So it can be a nickname if you would like, but it needs to be your name, not your mom's name, not your sister's name. It needs to be your name. And all you're going to do is, it might be even simple that you write it out, but you're going to put your name basically in all the letters in a square and kind of line them up to create your name. So if we're looking at Mia here on the left, we see an M, we see an I, either end of the M, and then we have an A for Mia, right? If we look at Emily on the side here, we've got an E, we've got an M kind of going around, we have an I, we've got an L, and we've got a Y. So some of the letters do overlap, which is A-okay. That should happen. But again, it's minimalistic. You should be able to see all the letters within that square. Okay. Maddie in the middle here, as you can see, it looks a little bit confusing just because the D on the right side here is backwards, so it's up to you if you want to make it backwards or not. It might be a little harder, but it's very simple, minimalistic. It actually even shows what we would call symmetrical balance. So if you cut Maddie down the middle here, you'll see it's even on both sides. So you will need a straight edge for this project. You will need a pencil to draw up a sketch for it to make sure that it's nice and neat, and then go over it with marker. Here's some more examples that we have. So we have Aubrey here, looking to find the A. So sometimes even some of the letters are slanted. So we have A here, is slanted. So we've got A like that. We've got U. There's the B here. We have an R, which uses the top part of the B and then uses this extension from the Y. We've got the E, which uses there, and then the Y is kind of a little backwards as well. But again, that's okay if some of your letters are backwards, if it makes sense. Sophia is kind of a fun one up here. So we have our S, we've got our O, we've got our P kind of down here, we've got our H, it's a really wide H. We've got our I, which is either end of the H, and then our A. And then Julia, I think, is also fun as well. We've got the curve J here. We've got the U that replicates that same curve. We have our L, we have our I, and then our A is a slant as well. So as you can see, there's overlapping of the different sides of the letters. There's some that are a little slanted, just so that they make sense, so that it uses the box and kind of the outline of the box as well. Here's some more. I think maybe London here is my favorite, with the L. So we have an L here. We've got our O. We've got our N. We've got our D, which might be hard to tell, but you can do it. It's slanted D right here. And then we've got another O, and then again, the N. Faith, that's a cool one. It's symmetrical like that. Allison, again, maybe your letter, your O is a little off if you would make it the whole thing, so maybe you just plug it on the side a little bit. Okay, so this project is kind of, you get to be creative in how you want it to look, but it does need to stay within a like square template. It needs to stay in that little border of a square. It shouldn't really go off. It might not connect to all four sides, but here's our steps. There's also a demonstration video of how I got to where my design is, but also how you can kind of make different designs with your name. Like, there's no one set way to do your name, but think about balance. So if you can make it symmetrical, how is it going to look symmetrical, and go from there. Alright, so step 1, you're going to draw a square using a ruler or a straight edge. I would encourage you to work big at first, and you can always redraw it smaller. So start with like a 3" by 3". That's like a post-it note, or if you have a sticky note at home, I would use that whole entire square, and you can draw it out from there and kind of just play around with it. Start with your first letter in your first name. Again, it should be your name. If it's a nickname of your name, that's fine, but it should be your name, not your friend's name or your mom's name or your sister's name. Okay, so start with the first letter in your name and place it in the square so it touches part of or all of 2 to 3 sides of the square. So see again my example here on the right, as well as see the video of how I started off. So I have my K. My first name is, if you didn't know it, is Kiera. So I started off with a K. So I have points touching 3 of the sides. Okay, I could have moved my K so it was all the way to the left and used this side, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make it down the middle. Now is where you start adding in each letter of your name and overlapping the sides and edges of other letters to create that negative space and that positive space to see all the letters of your first name. Okay, so I'm going to go over mine, so watch my mouse here and watch the video that I've created of what it looks like. So again, I started with my K, and then my I is the same as the side of my K, and then we have an E, so I made my E connecting on the left side here, and then I have an R. I have 2 R's in my name, so I just used the K angle as well as the K side, and then I just drew a curve coming from there. So I have 2 R's, so both are the same, and then I have my A at the end here, which is a nice wide A. Okay, please note that I did erase any part of the square that I did not use. So there was part of the square here and part of the square here on the right that I erased, because then it wouldn't make sense to have that part of my name. Okay, so again, I played around with this, so in my other video where I demonstrate how I got to my logo design, I also show you another design that I made with my name as well as my last name and how you can kind of play around with your letters a little bit. If you do have more curved letters than straight letters, it is a little harder, but please reach out if you're struggling. I can definitely help you out and go from there. Okay, and then step 4, this is all up to you if you want to do this, but feel free to redraw it with color outlining each letter so it kind of pops more. So as you can see, my K is in orange, my R is in green, my E is in a darker blue. Oh, I guess I made my I over here in the lighter blue, and then my A is in purple. So it kind of overlaps and you can kind of see all the different letters. Okay, you do have options if you don't want to just make it with pencil and maybe you want to take it a step further, totally up to you. But if you want to just do it with pencil, and then make sure you make it nice and dark though so I can see it, so overlap it several times with the pencil. But you can paint it, you can draw it and color it in using colored pencils. If you want to make a sculpture, you can use like spaghetti noodles, sticks, popsicles, or toothpicks, but you can only do that if all your letters in your name are straight and they have no curved letters whatsoever, because it's really hard to bend and curve popsicle and toothpicks. And then lastly, you can draw your name digitally using a drawing app. Okay, so please make sure you watch my step-by-step video as well of me demonstrating how I drew mine. And you can also check out the steps in the folder on Schoology if you need some more assistance.